You fix things, right? The alien girl's desperate plea to the last human engineer. The rain fell hard on the metal roofs of the outpost. Each drop sounded like a ticking clock counting down to something terrible. The sky above the alien planet, Epsilon Verge, was dark purple, filled with moving clouds and lightning that flashed in strange colors, blue and gold. Ethan Cole sat alone inside his small repair shelter, surrounded by old tools and half-broken machines. He had been a field engineer for almost 10 years, fixing things nobody else wanted to touch. Out here, far from Earth, he had only one rule. Machines make sense. People don't. He preferred it that way. The night was cold, the power flickered, and static hissed through the radio. Ethan leaned forward, adjusting the knobs to reconnect the lost signal from the north relay tower. He was tired, but something strange came through the static. Not code, not interference. It was a voice, a small, trembling voice that didn't sound human. "But please, fix my mom. She won't stop shaking." Ethan froze. The voice was full of pain and fear and something else. Innocence. He pressed his headset closer. "Who's there?" he asked. "This is Engineer Cole, Sector 9. Identify yourself." But there was only the sound of soft crying. Then the same voice again, clearer this time. "She's shaking so much. Please help her." "You fix things, right?" The signal broke into static. Ethan's heart pounded. His first thought was that it was some kind of prank, maybe a scrambled transmission from another unit. But the voice, it didn't sound like anything he'd ever heard. There was a strange echo in it, like it came from a throat made of crystal. He checked his radar. A faint distress beacon was blinking, about 5 kilometers north near the edge of the storm field. He grabbed his jacket, his scanner, and his old plasma lamp. "If this is another broken probe," he muttered, "I'm going to kill the tech who built it." Outside, the storm howled like a living thing. Dust and rain mixed in the wind, making it hard to breathe. But Ethan pushed through, following the beacon deeper into the alien forest. A place filled with glowing plants that pulsed faint blue light. Each step felt heavier. After 30 minutes, the trees opened into a clearing. And there it was, a crashed shuttle, half buried in the mud, smoke still rising from the engines. The hull was curved and silver-white, with marks that looked like symbols carved by light. Not human design. He approached carefully, his lamp cutting through the mist. Inside, through the broken glass, he saw movement. A small figure, trembling, a child. Her skin was pale blue, almost translucent, and her eyes were too large for her face, glowing like tiny moons. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old, if age even worked the same way for her kind. She was holding something in her lap. A woman. Still and cold, her body jerking in painful spasms. Hey, Ethan said gently, lowering his lamp. "It's okay. I'm here to help." The child looked up, her voice shaking. "You're human. Please, fix my mom. She won't stop shaking." Ethan knelt beside the mother and pulled out his scanner. The device beeped wildly. The readings didn't make sense. Her blood wasn't liquid. It was turning into threads of silver light, like living metal spreading through her veins. Her heart rate jumped, then dropped, then jumped again. Her body twitched violently. "What the hell?" Ethan whispered. He tried to stabilize the scanner's signal. "Her cells are mutating, Vi, but into what?" The little girl's eyes filled with tears. They weren't normal tears. They glowed softly, falling on her mother's face and disappearing into her skin. For a brief second, the spasms slowed. Ethan felt something inside him twist, fear mixed with awe. He reached out, pressing his hand on the mother's arm. The moment he did, the scanner exploded with red light and warning alarms. His glove heated up. The transformation inside her was accelerating. The girl screamed, "No, don't touch her!" Ethan pulled back instantly. "What's happening to her?" The child looked at him, tears glowing brighter now, voice trembling between words. "She was touched. By your kind." A crack of thunder tore through the forest, and lightning lit up their faces, human and alien. 2 worlds colliding in fear and mystery. Ethan stared at the child, realizing this was no simple rescue. This was the beginning of something much darker. The storm had ended by dawn, but the fear in the air had not. Ethan carried the small alien child in one arm, and her mother in the other, stumbling through the wet forest toward his outpost. His boots sank into the mud. and his breath came out in short bursts. The mother's body was burning hot, glowing faintly under the thin fabric of her alien suit. Every few minutes, the child whispered something in her own language, soft, musical, but broken by tears. Ethan didn't understand a word. But he didn't need to. The sound was enough to remind him what was at stake. By the time they reached the metal doors of the outpost, the early light of Epsilon Verge had turned the fog golden. The base doors slid open with a hiss, scanning his ID. The voice of the AI, Unit Vega, spoke in its cold, mechanical tone. Warning. Unknown biological entities detected. Possible contamination. Please proceed to Quarantine Bay. Ethan ignored the warning and carried them straight to the med chamber. Override quarantine, he ordered. Denied. Protocol restricts direct contact with— Override, damn it, he shouted. The AI paused. Override accepted. You are responsible for all biological consequences. Ethan placed the alien woman on the medical table. The scanners lit up her body in layers of color, blue, green, and finally red. The readings were unstable. Her blood pressure changed every few seconds. Her heartbeat was irregular, almost artificial. The alien child stood close, watching with wide eyes. Her small hands trembled. Can you fix her? She asked quietly. Ethan swallowed hard. I'll try. He attached the medical nanotech injectors to the woman's arm. The microbots were designed to repair damaged human cells, seal wounds, and stabilize organs. But when they entered her bloodstream, the display began to glitch. Come on, Ethan muttered. Don't fight it. The woman's body started to shake again. Worse this time. Her veins turned silver. The nanobots were reacting to something inside her, changing shape. The machine alarm screamed, Bioreaction detected. Unknown molecular fusion. The little girl cried out, grabbing her mother's hand. Stop hurting her. Ethan tried to disconnect the injector, but the liquid metal spread across the table. It crawled like a living shadow, covering the woman's arm, shoulder, then chest. He pulled the child back just as the woman's body went still. The silver light pulsed once, and then dimmed. Everything fell silent. Ethan looked down at his hands. His gloves were burning slightly where the silver had touched them. Whatever was happening wasn't just illness, it was transformation. She's not dead, the child whispered, looking at the still body. She's fighting. Ethan ran another scan. Her vitals were low, but not gone. Somehow, the strange metallic energy was keeping her alive. But her DNA, it was rewriting itself. He sat down beside the table, exhausted. I've seen alien tech, alien biology, but never this. The child's eyes glowed faintly as she wiped her tears. You humans fix things. My mom said that once. Ethan looked at her, this tiny, fragile creature who had just lost everything. He sighed. Sometimes we fix things. Sometimes we break them worse. The AI's voice returned, calm and precise. Engineer Cole, the entity carries a viral code. It's not natural. It's human-made. Ethan turned sharply toward the monitor. What do you mean? This infection contains fragments of Terran nanotech architecture. Model Series 12A, military grade. Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. That model was banned years ago, used only for bioweapons during the Mars conflict. He stared at the alien mother again. The silver metal. It wasn't just sickness. It was human technology inside her. Vega, he said slowly, trace the last transmissions near this crash site. Working. While the AI processed, the little girl walked up to him and tugged his sleeve. You will fix her, she said again, softly but with strange certainty. You're her lifeline. Ethan met her gaze. He wanted to tell her the truth, that he didn't know how, that he might be the reason her mother was dying, but he couldn't. Not yet. The monitor beeped again. Transmission source located human research vessel, Orion's Edge. Crash date 11 days ago. Ethan froze. Orion's Edge, his old ship, the one he'd left after the bioweapon project was shut down. He realized then, with a deep sinking feeling, that this wasn't an accident. Someone had tested their weapon, and this alien woman had paid the price. He looked back at the child, who was now sitting beside her mother, whispering softly. Ethan clenched his fists. If humans did this, he said under his breath, then I'll fix her. Or I'll make them answer for it. Outside, the storm began again, soft. distant thunder rolling over the alien sky, as if the world itself was listening. The outpost was silent, except for the low hum of machines. The air smelled like metal and burnt circuits. Ethan hadn't slept in more than a day. He sat beside the med table, staring at the alien woman's body as the monitors blinked weak red light. The child, the one he had saved, was asleep in the corner, wrapped in his old thermal jacket. Her breathing was slow and gentle, but her small hands twitched every few minutes, as if she was dreaming of her mother's pain. Ethan rubbed his eyes. "Vega," he said, "run another scan on her blood sample." "Sample already analyzed 12 times, the AI replied. "Results unchanged." "Run it again," he said sharply. The AI obeyed. The holographic screen filled with lines of code and molecular patterns. Ethan watched as the strange silver particles pulsed like living stars. Then he noticed something new, a rhythm. Wait. He leaned closer. "That pattern, it's repeating. Like a signal." "Affirmative," Vega confirmed. "The metallic particles are communicating." Ethan frowned. "With what?" "Unknown. Possibly each other, possibly an external source." He felt a chill crawl up his spine. If these particles were trying to connect with something, that meant there was another system, maybe a satellite, or a base, still active out there. He thought of the ship Orion's Edge. That old project had been built to test self-replicating nanotech that could heal or destroy organic matter. It was supposed to be shut down. Instead, someone had turned it into a weapon, and this alien woman. She was the proof. Ethan moved to her side and gently lifted her arm. Her veins glowed faintly under the skin, like liquid light moving through glass. He turned to the AI. "Vega, prepare the scanner for a neural link. I need to see what she's seeing." "Dangerous," Vega warned. "Foreign neural patterns can cause permanent damage." "Do it anyway." The scanner attached to Ethan's temple with a soft click. He took a deep breath as the world around him flickered, and then vanished. He opened his eyes to a vision that wasn't his own. He stood in a field of white light, surrounded by tall, glowing trees. The air shimmered with energy, and there, standing beside one of the trees, was the alien woman. She wasn't weak or dying here. She was standing tall, her skin glowing with silver veins of power. Her eyes were calm, wise, and filled with sorrow. "Who are you?" Ethan asked. Her voice echoed gently. "You made this," Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm trying to fix it." "You are human," she said. "And your kind created the sickness in my blood. But you carry its cure." He didn't understand. "What do you mean?" She lifted her hand and touched his chest. A burst of light flashed. He saw memories that weren't his. Human soldiers in black suits. Labs filled with screaming test subjects, and the Orion's Edge leaving orbit with forbidden cargo. Then, an explosion. A crash, her crash. She looked at him with pain in her eyes. They wanted to use us. Our kind can bond with your machines. They wanted to make us weapons. Ethan's heart sank. The nanotech inside her was merging with alien biology. Learning, adapting, evolving. If it spreads, she continued softly, it will not stop. It will consume both our worlds. He took a step forward. "Then tell me how to stop it." Her expression softened. "My daughter trusts you. Protect her. Through her, the cure will grow." Before he could ask more, the vision shattered. Ethan gasped and fell back in his chair. The connection was gone. The monitors beeped wildly. Her vitals had spiked. The child woke up and ran to her mother's side. "Mom!" she cried. "You're awake?" The alien woman's eyes flickered open, weak but alive. She looked at Ethan, her lips trembling. "You saw it," she whispered. "No, you know," Ethan nodded slowly. "Your blood is evolving. Trying to communicate." The woman's voice was fading. "Stop the signal." "Before it calls them." "Calls who?" he asked quickly, but it was too late. Her body went still again. The child grabbed Ethan's arm, eyes wide with fear. "She means the ones who made it. The ones who hurt her." Ethan turned toward the scanner. The signal from her blood was now transmitting somewhere, far beyond the horizon. A red light blinked on the console. "Incoming object detected," Vega said. "Large, approaching fast." Ethan looked through the window. Above the dark sky, a new light appeared, growing brighter by the second. It wasn't a star. It was a ship, and it was human. The ground trembled before the sound reached them. Ethan ran to the main console, eyes locked on the radar. The screen flashed red, one massive ship entering atmosphere. The signal came from orbit, tagged with a code he hadn't seen in years. Terra 12A, Orion's Edge Command. His blood went cold. "Vega," he said, his voice tight. "How far?" 17 kilometers and closing. Estimated landing. 3 minutes. The little alien girl clutched her mother's still hand, her small frame shaking. "Who's coming?" Ethan's jaw tightened. "People who think your mother is property." He grabbed his pulse rifle from the wall, a weapon he hadn't used in years. It felt heavy, like it carried the weight of his old sins. Outside, thunder cracked again. But this time it wasn't nature. It was the roar of engines. The ship broke through the clouds, black as ash, glowing with blue fire. It descended slowly, cutting through the mist like a knife. Vega's voice echoed through the speakers. "Incoming transmission from Orion's Edge Command." "Shall I open channel?" Ethan hesitated, then said, "Do it." The screen lit up, showing a man's face. Commander Strake, the same man who once led the secret nanotech division Ethan had walked away from. His hair was white now, but his eyes were still cold and sharp. "Ethan Cole," Strake said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Didn't think I'd find you hiding out here." Ethan's grip tightened on the rifle. "You shouldn't have. We have reason to believe you're harboring stolen technology," Strake continued. "A living specimen infected with Terran nanotech. That's military property." Ethan glanced at the alien woman, unconscious, fragile, glowing faintly under the medlights. Then at the little girl hiding behind him. "She's not property," Ethan said. "She's alive. And you killed her ship." Strake's smile vanished. "Don't make this personal. Turn them over and I'll pretend you were just following orders." "You have 60 seconds. The transmission ended. Ethan turned to Vega. "Lock down all exits." Lockdown initiated. He kneeled beside the alien child. "Listen to me. Whatever happens, you stay behind me. Do not run into the open. Understand?" She nodded, her glowing eyes full of fear. "You'll fix her?" "I'll try," he said softly. "But first, I have to keep you both alive." The ship landed in a burst of dust and fire outside the outpost. Ethan watched through the glass. Black-armored soldiers stepping out, rifles shining under the stormlight. Their helmets reflected no faces, only cold efficiency. "Vega," Ethan whispered, "divert power to external shields." Power diverted. Shields active at 48%. The first blast hit seconds later. A blinding beam of plasma against the base walls. Metal screamed and sparks flew. The child covered her ears and cried out. Ethan fired back through the defense window, hitting one of the soldiers. The others spread out, moving like shadows. "Hold, Cole." Strake's voice boomed through the loudspeaker. "You can't win this. You're outnumbered." Ethan reloaded calmly. "Maybe," he said, "but I'm still better than you." He hit the emergency generator switch. The outpost lights dimmed, and the base went into silent defense mode. Drones activated from the ceiling, releasing bursts of EMP pulses that scrambled the attacker's sensors. Ethan used the chaos to move the alien woman's stretcher into the medical bay's inner chamber. The girl followed, clutching his sleeve tightly. "Vega, seal the inner door." Sealed. For a moment, everything went quiet again. The hum of machines, the child's breathing, the faint beeping of her mother's heart monitor. Then while the power flickered, "Vega?" Ethan asked. No answer. Static filled the speakers. A deep, distorted voice broke through. "You can't hide from what you created, Cole." The sound wasn't Strake. It was something else. Something older. Ethan turned to the screen. The signal pattern from the alien woman's blood had reactivated. It was transmitting again. "To inside the Orion's Edge ship, Vega," he shouted. "Trace that signal." "Source confirmed," the AI replied faintly. "The infection has spread." To their systems, Ethan froze. On the external camera, soldiers started collapsing one by one, their armor twitching as silver veins of light spread across their suits. Their bodies convulsed, shaking violently, the same way the alien woman had. The nanotech was inside them now. The child's eyes widened. "It's spreading," she whispered. Ethan realized the truth. The infection wasn't just alive. It was learning. The moment it found more human tech, it had jumped hosts. He looked at the sky where the black ship still hovered. If the nanotech reached the command core of Orion's edge, it could replicate endlessly. It could reach Earth. He took a deep breath. Vega, prepare the shuttle. We're leaving. Leaving. Where? Anywhere they can't follow, he said, grabbing the child's hand. We have to protect the cure before the infection becomes the universe's next war. Behind him, the alien woman stirred faintly, her lips parting. She whispered one word, run. Ethan didn't need to be told twice. The hunters had arrived, but now something far worse was waking inside their ship. The sirens screamed through the outpost as the power flickered. Red emergency lights washed over the room, turning everything into a nightmare of shadows and alarms. Ethan held the little alien girl close, his pulse racing. The mother's body lay still on the med table, her skin faintly glowing with that strange silver light. Her weak voice echoed in his mind. Run! He didn't waste a second. Vega, he ordered, activate the shuttle bay. We're leaving now. Warning, the AI replied, voice distorted. Hostile forces inside perimeter. System compromised. Just open the bay, Ethan shouted. The door locks hissed and released. Wind and rain blasted through the corridor as he pulled the girl by the hand and grabbed his emergency med pack. Behind them, the alien mother's faint breathing slowed, but her hand twitched slightly, as if trying to reach out. I'll come back for her, Ethan whispered. Even though he wasn't sure if that was true, they sprinted down the narrow hallway, the floor trembling under distant explosions. The outpost was dying. Metal groaning, lights sparking, machines screaming as the nanotech infection spread through the systems. Every few steps, Vega's voice glitched. Warning. Containment breach? Viral code merging? Ethan knew what that meant. The infection had entered the base network. Soon it would control everything. The drones, the doors, even the oxygen systems. He glanced at the girl running beside him. Her blue skin shimmered in the red light. She looked terrified, but her small hand gripped his tightly. Is she going to die? She asked in a trembling voice. Ethan didn't answer. He couldn't lie. Not now. We'll try to save her, he said instead. They reached the main hangar. The massive bay doors were half open, rain pouring in through the crack. Outside, the storm was alive, lightning twisting across the dark sky, and the black ship of Orion's edge hovering above like a vulture. Soldiers lay motionless on the ground, their armor twitching, silver light crawling over their bodies. The infection was spreading fast. The nanotech had no master now. It was becoming its own being. Ethan hurried to the shuttle controls. The small craft was old but functional, one of his repairs from months ago. He slammed the ignition switch. The engine coughed, sparked, and roared to life. Get in, he told the girl. She climbed inside, holding onto the seat as the storm wind howled around them. Ethan secured the med pack and started the launch sequence. But before the shuttle could lift off, a new sound filled the air. The cold, metallic voice of Commander Strake echoing from his helmet. You can't run, Cole. It's too late. You don't understand what you're carrying. Ethan looked out the cockpit window. Strake stood at the edge of the hangar, his armor partly infected, half of his face covered in silver veins. His eyes glowed with the same eerie light. Strake, Ethan muttered. You're infected, Strake laughed, a low, mechanical sound. Infected? No, I'm evolving. The nanotech doesn't destroy, it perfects. Ethan aimed his rifle. It kills everything it touches. Only the weak, Strake replied, stepping closer. His voice distorted with static. It will rebuild humanity, stronger, unstoppable. Ethan fired. The blast hit Strake square in the chest, but instead of falling, the commander absorbed the energy. The wound closed instantly, silver light sealing it shut. Good try, Strake said darkly. The shuttle's engines screamed to full power. Ethan pulled the trigger again, firing multiple shots until the hangar filled with smoke. He jumped inside the shuttle and slammed the hatch shut. Vega, he shouted. Manual override. Launch now. Manual override accepted. The AI replied weakly. The shuttle roared, lifted, and burst out of the hangar just as Strake reached for it. Lightning exploded across the sky as they shot upward through the storm clouds. The little girl clung to Ethan's arm, crying. Below them, the outpost burned, melting under waves of silver light. Through the window, Ethan saw the Orion's Edge ship flicker, its engines dimming. The infection had reached it fully now. The massive vessel shuddered as silver tendrils spread across its hull. "Vega," Ethan said between breaths. "Set course for the mountain range. We'll hide there until I figure this out." "Acknowledged." "Though system integrity at 42%. The girl wiped her tears. "My mom, will she find us?" Ethan looked at the burning sky. "She told us to run. That means she's still fighting." Behind them, the Orion's Edge began to break apart. Pieces of metal rained down from the sky like falling stars. But inside those glowing fragments, something was moving, crawling, alive. The infection wasn't dying. It was spreading. Ethan gripped the flight controls tighter. "We can't stop here," he muttered. "We have to warn someone before it reaches the colonies." The child looked up, her small voice barely a whisper. "It's not just spreading, is it?" He looked at her and shook his head. "No, it's calling for something bigger." Outside, lightning split the horizon, and for a brief second, Ethan saw something massive moving inside the clouds, like a shape not meant for human eyes. Whatever the infection was summoning, it was already here. The shuttle cut through the storm like a wounded bird. Lightning danced around it, and every strike made the metal groan. Ethan fought the controls, keeping the craft steady as it shook in the violent winds. Beside him, the alien child pressed her hands together, whispering soft words in her language. Her small eyes glowed faintly, like the stars hidden behind the clouds. "Hold tight," Ethan said, gripping the controls. "We're almost clear." But they weren't. The navigation screen blinked with warnings: power failing, engine overheating, systems unstable. The infection had reached some of the shuttle's circuits. Thin silver lines crept along the metal like frost. "Vega," Ethan shouted. "Cut off all nanotech pathways, now." Processing failed. "Infection spreading through hydraulic network." Damn it. Ethan switched to manual control, flipping off the power grid. The lights dimmed, leaving only the storm flashes outside. The shuttle dived, then leveled again as he steered toward the dark mountain peaks ahead. After what felt like hours, they landed hard in a narrow canyon, surrounded by black stone and glowing mist. The shuttle skidded, scraped, then stopped with a metallic scream. Ethan exhaled, trembling. "We made it." The girl looked at him, her eyes filled with fear. "She's calling me." He turned sharply. "Who?" "My mom," she whispered. "I can hear her voice. In here." She placed a hand over her chest. Ethan's heart skipped. "You're sure?" She nodded. "She's in pain. But she's alive." He wanted to believe it. Against all logic, he did. Somehow the alien woman had survived the infection. Or maybe become something more. They climbed out of the shuttle. The air was cold, filled with strange fog that shimmered faintly blue. It wasn't mist, it was energy. The ground beneath their boots pulsed like a heartbeat. Ethan checked his scanner. "No radiation, no life signs," he said softly. "But something's generating power here." As they moved deeper into the canyon, the fog thickened. Strange lights glowed under the rocks, old symbols not human. Ethan realized they were standing in the ruins of something ancient. Then the girl stopped. "She's close." A low hum filled the air, deep, rhythmic, almost like breathing. Ethan followed the sound until they reached a hollow chamber. At the center was a crystal-like cocoon, glowing silver and blue. Inside it was her. The alien mother floated in a suspended state, her body wrapped in shimmering strands of energy. Her skin no longer looked sick or dying. It looked powerful. Her veins glowed silver like living light. Ethan took a step back. "She's changing." The girl ran forward, placing her hand on the crystal. "Mom!" The cocoon pulsed once, then again. The entire chamber trembled. The light grew brighter, forcing Ethan to shield his eyes. Then the crystal cracked. Pieces of it shattered and floated away like glass dust. The woman opened her eyes. They weren't the soft blue they had been before. They were bright white, glowing like a newborn star. She stepped out slowly, the ground lighting beneath her feet. "Ethan Cole," she said softly. Her voice was calm, echoing but layered, as if two voices spoke at once. Ethan stared, speechless. "You know my name?" She smiled faintly. "I remember everything. The pain, the ship, the sickness. You tried to help." Ethan lowered his weapon. "You're alive." "I am more than alive," she said, looking at her hands. "The infection changed me. but I changed it back. I made it part of me. The child ran into her arms, crying. "Mom!" The woman knelt, holding her tightly. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. But Ethan noticed something. The silver light spreading from her body into the walls, into the ground. "You're connected to it," he said. "You're feeding it power." She looked up at him, eyes glowing. "I can't stop it now. It's awake." Ethan's stomach twisted. "The infection?" She shook her head slowly. "No, something older. The nanotech wasn't human. Your people only found it?" "They didn't make it," Ethan stepped back. "What do you mean?" "The signal it sends," she said quietly, looking toward the sky. "It's not calling for help. It's calling its creator." Before Ethan could speak, the ground rumbled. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The sky above them flashed red, and from the storm clouds, something enormous began to move, a shadow stretching across the horizon. The woman looked up, her voice calm and heavy with truth. "It's here." Ethan turned toward the shuttle, his heart pounding. "We have to go." But the little girl clung to her mother. "She can't leave," the woman said softly. "I'm bound to it now." Ethan's voice cracked. "You'll die if you stay." The woman's eyes glowed brighter. "Then I'll die protecting her." The mountain shook again. This time the sky itself seemed to split apart. A beam of silver light descended from the clouds, striking the canyon floor. The air screamed. Ethan grabbed the girl and ran, pulling her toward the shuttle as the world behind them exploded in light. The world was breaking apart. The mountains trembled, splitting open as light poured from the cracks like molten silver. The sky burned with flashes of energy, and something vast, something alive, moved inside the storm clouds above. Ethan ran, holding the alien child close as the ground shook under his boots. Behind them, the canyon glowed brighter and brighter until it looked like the heart of a sun. The little girl looked back, tears falling down her blue cheeks. "She's still there," she cried. "We can't leave her." Ethan's chest ached, but he didn't slow down. "If we stay, we'll die too." A deep sound echoed through the valley. Not thunder, not machines, a voice. It was low and rumbling, ancient and powerful, speaking in a language no one should understand. But somehow Ethan felt it inside his bones. "Return what is mine." He turned, looking toward the light. A massive shape descended through the clouds, a structure of metal and light miles wide. It wasn't a ship. It was something older, something that built ships, the creator, Ethan whispered. She was right. The infection wasn't just technology, it was part of a living construct. And now, that construct had come home. The shuttle sat a few 100 meters away, half buried in the dust. Ethan pushed forward, the storm ripping at his clothes. He placed the girl inside and strapped her in. "Stay here," he said firmly. "No matter what happens, don't move." She grabbed his sleeve. "You promised to fix her." Ethan looked into her glowing eyes and forced a weak smile. "And I will. But I need to stop what's coming first." He turned and ran back toward the light. The canyon was chaos, stone floating in midair, rivers of light cutting through the ground, and in the center stood the alien woman. Her body glowed brighter now, her silver veins pulsing in rhythm with the creature above. She was holding the energy back, fighting it, her arms raised, face strained in pain. "Ethan!" she shouted when she saw him. "You shouldn't be here." He stopped beside her, shielding his eyes from the blinding glow. "You can't do this alone." "It's not just me anymore," she said, her voice trembling. "The nanotech inside me, it's linked to it. I can stop it, but I'll have to burn the connection. And myself." Ethan's throat tightened. "There has to be another way." "There isn't." She looked at him, calm now. "You humans wanted power. You created life you couldn't control. But you also created something else, compassion. And that's what saves you." The ground cracked again. A beam of energy struck nearby, throwing Ethan to the ground. His ears rang. The light of the creator began to focus, forming a weapon. The alien woman screamed, raising her hands, energy surging from her body like a shield. The air turned white. Ethan stumbled up, realizing what she was doing. She was absorbing the creator's energy into herself, but she couldn't hold it forever. He grabbed his scanner, the same tool he had used to study her, and began to override its failsafe. If he could reverse the power current, maybe, just maybe, he could transfer her energy output into the shuttle's core. "Vega," he yelled through the comm link. Redirect the signal. Channel her output through me. Warning overload risk 99%, just do it. The scanner beeped, the lights on his suit flaring as energy rushed through him like fire. His vision blurred. The air screamed with light. The woman looked at him, eyes wide. Ethan, what are you doing? Sharing the pain, he gritted out. No one dies alone today. Their hands met, human and alien, light merging between them. The energy pulsed brighter, the ground trembling violently. The voice above roared in fury. Then, suddenly, silence. A shockwave of pure white light exploded outward, erasing the infection from the rocks, the machines, the air. The sky cleared. The massive shadow above shattered into pieces of light that faded into the stars. When Ethan opened his eyes, he was lying on the ground. The canyon was quiet now. The sky was clear and blue for the first time. He looked around, the alien woman was gone. Only faint silver dust remained where she had stood. It sparkled gently before disappearing into the wind. The small voice made him turn. The little girl stood at the edge of the cliff, tears streaming down her face. Ethan walked to her slowly and knelt beside her. She saved us, he said softly. She saved everyone. The girl nodded, clutching the glowing crystal pendant her mother had left behind. Its light flickered once like a heartbeat, then faded. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. We'll keep her memory alive. Both our worlds will know what she did. The girl looked up at him with sad eyes. You kept your promise, he smiled faintly. Maybe, but there's still a lot to fix. They looked at the horizon, sunlight breaking through the clouds, touching the ruins below. The infection was gone, but somewhere deep in the stars, the remnants of that ancient technology still drifted. Waiting, Ethan stood, lifting the girl in his arms as they walked back toward the shuttle. Vega, he said quietly, let's go home. Home? The AI replied. Ethan looked up at the endless sky. Wherever there's hope left. The shuttle rose slowly, disappearing into the golden light, carrying the last human, the last child of another world, and the memory of a mother who became more than life itself.